Good morning, everyone. Welcome inside the Faith Loop. Glad you're joining with us this morning. Hope you're having a good start to your week. It's Tuesday, December 7th, right? Yes, December 7th. Good job there, son. Appreciate you jumping in there with me on that. The day that will live in infamy.
1941.
Right?
I was just a month or so old.
Yeah, you were, right?
I wasn't even a month old. I was born the 15th of November, so.
Yeah, about 3 weeks old when all that happened.
Old, yeah, when it all came down.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't remember.
Right? You're with everybody else. You've seen the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's we call it Pearl Harbor Day in our country. They remember all the men and women that died in the attack of the Japanese. And I think it's interesting to bring that to bear. I mean, in a day like we have today, right? Yeah. And what's going on in the world, especially, right?
Yeah, especially since we want to blot out all of our past. We want to blot out all of the things that we've held in esteem, I guess.
Right.
Down through the years, critical moments in history, things that happened to us. It's not that we're not honoring war. That's not what we're honoring. We're honoring the men and the women who served in the military, in the Navy especially, which was what was attacked. Mm-hmm. And those people, died prematurely. They died very early, lost families, lost husbands, lost wives, children. There was more killed at Pearl Harbor than just was on the ships. And so there's a lot of people died just collateral damage and things like that. So that's what we remember. People who have dedicated themselves and given themselves actually in the help of others.
And that's really the key, isn't it? I mean, I'm not this proponent of I think America is the greatest country ever in the whole wide world. I never have been, but we've done a lot more. There has been some really good things that we have done.
Well, yeah. As I've said many times, in Mexico City, there's a place called Chapultepec. It's where Montezuma, his castle was there. Then later, the Maximilian and Carlotta, and they have their artifacts there and things like that. But anyway, when during the Mexican-American War, when Marshall took the troops down into Mexico, they went into Mexico City. Mexico was actually defeated. And what happened was there was a small group of military cadet students, like we would have here in ROTC, something like that.
Right.
They were 13, 14, 15 years old, and they actually went out to fight and fought against Marshall. When he found out that they were doing that, he turned around and left. He didn't want it anymore. But there were 13 of them, and if you go up on the mount there and look, there's 13 statues standing on this cement just by a bluff. And there's 13 statues. They have the Mexican flag wrapped around them. What happened was those 13 young men wrapped the flag around them and dove off of that rather than give up. And so they celebrate that. They're not celebrating that it was war. They're celebrating that these young men, what they were willing to do, what they were willing to sacrifice for what they believed in.
And I think this goes into exactly what we're talking about right here.
What are we willing to do for what we believe in?
Right?
Absolutely.
Because we're in day 2,110,773 of the crisis of identity. And we've been talking about this, and it's exactly what I believe it to be. It is a crisis of identity. This is the problem with mankind. Man doesn't know who he is.
Well, even if he knows, he'd deny it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to. He wants to redefine himself.
Right. He wants to be who he wants to be.
That's the crisis we're in, and as you know, crisis comes from the word, the Greek word krisis, which is to make a decision. We're in this decision making. We've been given this. That's why we've been in crisis since Adam fell, because we've been posited with this decision to make. Jehovah said it to Israel, where it's standing in front of us with Jesus today. Choose you this day whom you will serve, because you're going to serve one of two masters. And that's what we're talking about today. And as you can see in the title, in the description here today, food, clothing, and shelter. Right?
Yes, sir.
And I know that sounds strange. You're like, well, wait a minute. We're talking crisis of identity, and now you say food, clothing, and shelter? Exactly. Right? Because we all need food. We all need clothing. We appreciate it. I know there's some people out there that don't really care.
No.
They'd rather, it's just crass and crude. You see some of these people out, and put some clothes on, man. It's okay to be modest.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it.
Right? I mean, geez. And yeah, oh, that's not, yeah. I mean, modesty isn't a bad policy.
No.
And for some people, it's better than others.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of those included. Nobody wants to see that. Let's just be real.
Yeah, exactly.
Put your shirt on. Shelter. It's cold. It's getting cold out. Northern hemisphere, it's wintertime. It's getting cold. I don't care what you say, man. It's hard to live. We forget in our modern convenience as far as heating, central air, all these things, isn't that old?
No. I remember as a kid growing up, we lived in town and had an outhouse
Right.
because the sewer system wasn't extended to all parts of the town. We actually lived in town and had an outhouse. We never had an inside bathroom until me and my folks moved to Southern California when I was 12, 13 years old. So we never had air conditioning. We didn't have television. We had a radio. Mm-hmm. We didn't have those things. It was hot, it was hot. It was cold, it was cold. You went inside and started a fire in a wood stove, and you gathered around it. And my dad, I remember, he would bank the stove, what they call banking the stove down at night, and in the morning, you would get up and the house was just freezing cold, and you'd run to the room the stove was in because it was fired up, and you'd stand around the stove till the house got warm enough you could get away from the stove. Mm-hmm. So that's the way we live. That's the way we live. People don't realize. I mean, look at the American Indians. They lived in teepees or huts, and they lived that way. A teepee, friend, wasn't exactly insulated.
Right.
So how'd you stay warm? How did they live? See, we don't understand living like that. We can't grasp it.
This is the point to it. Our attitude of being is what defines us. It sets the mark of who we are as people, whether we follow the knowledge of good and evil or we repent of that and we follow or come out of the rebellion and come into the understanding of the wisdom of life, which comes from Jehovah. It's objective and subjective thought, and I don't care. People can say what they want to. That's just the truth of it. Today, we're dealing with this. Food, clothing, and shelter. Now, Jesus was talking about these things many moons ago. He's sitting on the side of a hill. And he's looking at the Jews, and he says, why are you anxious? Right? What are you anxious for? What are we anxious for? One of the things about the Great Reset, and Dad and I have talked about this on Inside the Faith Loop for a number of times, is they keep telling you you're not going to own anything, but you're going to be happy. You're not going to own nothing.
Yeah.
You'll be happy though. Don't worry. You'll have food, you'll have clothing, and you'll have shelter, and we will provide it for you.
Yeah, and what they want to provide for you.
Exactly. Right? Which, okay, fine. In and of itself, is there anything really wrong with that? Probably not. In and of itself, those things, you can make anything sound good, right?
Yes, you can.
You can. Okay, great. I don't mind having food, clothing, and shelter. But is it going to be warm? Is it going to be cool? What kind of clothing is it? And this is where we start asking these questions. And Jesus said, why are you anxious for this stuff?
Well, you can compare it to medieval days in England and Europe, where you had the landowners, the lords, whatever title they were, earl or whatever, and then they had the serfs. Well, the serfs were the people that lived on their property. They were given these vast lands, and the serfs lived on there, and they had one purpose, and that was to provide everything for their lord that they could provide, and they lived with the pigs.
Right.
I mean, pigs lived in their house. They many times would sleep in a little loft built inside there up over the animals and so forth. So they didn't really live a real exciting life.
We don't really understand the by your leave thought process, do we?
No.
Justin, can you grab my phone over there real quick? I need to see something that's on it to finish this up. Thanks. But this is what is necessary in this context of things and what we're doing and how we're doing things today. By your leave, it's what you're saying. Are we living by their leave now? Is this what this is?
Yeah, I think that's what they want.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, it's what they want. That's the way the lords were in those days. The earls and the whatever, they provided for the serfs, barely, and then thought they were doing them good. And this is what caused a lot of the rebellion in France during the French Revolution. It's what caused it. And they killed every aristocrat they could find. They guillotined them because, one thing, the queen said, let him eat bread. And all the expression is always let him eat cake, but actually she said, let him eat bread. That's all they need is just bread.
Right.
Well, eventually they got tired of that and they rebelled, and it went up to the king even, and they killed him. And then Robespierre became as bad as what he had fought against, and they guillotined him, face up.
Well, look, here, we talk about this, our attitude. It says here, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat, what you will drink, nor about your body or what you will put on. Is not life more than food and the body more than clothing? And he goes in and talks about this, and I'm gonna leave it right there. And what we're facing today, we've been talking about the mark of the beast, and we're getting into this. And I know we've said a lot of things here leading up to this, and we've talked about it, but if you go back to what we've been talking, and as we've moved through this, you look through history, Robespierre, the things that we discussed earlier, clothing, food, shelter. What is this? How are these three basic things a thought process to anxiousness, or why, or what, or, how can somebody terrorize you over you will own nothing and like it and be happy and you'll be fine and everything will be good? You think, well, wait a minute, that's not necessarily terrorism. How is it? But it brings terror, because what's happening right now in the world is there's a lot of thought process that says, well, you may not be able to get groceries. I was talking before the segment here with Dad. In Canada, I'm trying to remember. I couldn't find the link before the segment, so I'm sorry. We've got some links up, though, in the show description. And please, if I'm going to take a moment here, please, if there's something here that's of interest to you and what we're talking about, please comment below. Love to hear from you. That's what this is about, opening up conversation, talking. We'll be happy to bring that to bear within the conversations of what we're dealing with here, because I think it's very important that we discuss these things at this level. So please comment below. We look forward to hearing from you. With that being said, this is what we are dealing with at this level. Am I going to have food tomorrow? Am I going to be able to have my job tomorrow? Can I go to my job tomorrow? Can I do these things tomorrow? Is this part of my life? What's going on? And all of a sudden, that indecision, that not knowing kind of brings terror to this thought process. Am I going to be able to eat tomorrow? Am I going to be able to, stay warm tomorrow?
Yeah, and the thing in Canada.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. But come back to that. The government said they're giving the power to the grocery stores to say you can keep people from going into the store if they don't have a vaccination passport, which is required a lot in Canada.
Refuse them food.
Refusing to shop and go and get food. Now, is there delivery and whatnot? But when does that change? If anybody is paying attention, Mayor de Blasio in New York City has made all these mandates again. Because the Omicron, and everybody's. It's just amazing to what level these people are going to dictate. The EU, the European Union, Ursula, and I'm trying to remember her last name. She's the president of the EU. This is on. I was watching a Glenn Beck segment, and they had the video of her standing up and talking. She said, "I think it's time we had the conversation that we mandate vaccines across the board for everybody. We just do it. We need to have this conversation." Why?
I don't know.
What for? I'm not quite sure why this conversation is necessary.
Well, we were talking before the segment, and, we had things in years gone by like smallpox. Smallpox, pretty deadly stuff. Smallpox will kill you. Well, we had a vaccination against it. Nobody mandated it. Nobody come out and said you have to have it. They recommended it. They said fine. Mm-hmm. And most people did it, but it was their own choice. We had measles, which certain types of measles to certain kinds of children and women is deadly, especially if they get it when they're pregnant.
Right.
Then we had polio, and polio was a killer. And if it didn't kill you, then it left you crippled probably the rest of your life and things like that. None of the vaccines for that was ever mandated. Nobody said this. Nobody was up in the air about it. Nobody wore a mask. Nobody did. There was nothing. I lived through some of that. Okay. Now we've got a so-called virus that's not anywhere near, not even close to being as deadly as those things were. And what are we doing? I mean, dear God. I mean, are we just absolutely?
Well, because, and this to me, Dad, this is the thought process, and when we're discussing these things, folks, the tragedy of all this is this: that mankind, he's covetous from the beginning. It's his nature, it's his being, and this is what we talk about when we talk about the mark of the beast. This has nothing to do with some sort of technology stuck in your arm, some number somewhere. It's either his mark, his name, or the number of his name. These are the three things. And what do those things come to? What is it? It's what we're dealing with in the world today. The beast is, as we've talked about, and Dad has brought to bear on numerous occasions, is not a man or this one man that stands up. It's a system. It's the government. When you look at biblical terminology, a beast represented a kingdom,
Yes. Not a man.
not a man.
Now they had a king,
Sure.
but the beast was the kingdom.
And this is what it's about. It's about an ideological context. This is why I've said, and I believe this very much, your understanding of the beast is a political, economic, socio-religious concept that is being foisted in a globalized context. And will you accept that? Will you come in and will you be part of that? And this is what's happening. This is a psychological experiment that's going on a worldwide basis.
To see how they can get people to comply.
Who's going to comply, who's not?
Absolutely. Well, as I said before, the kingdom builders of old, the Roman Caesars, the Alexander the Greats, the Darius, Artaxerxes, the Persian empires, the Ottoman Empire, all of those, people don't really maybe understand, but as far as what they knew, the world was where they were.
Right.
They didn't know about the rest of the world yet. They didn't know about the United States or the islands of the sea, but they did know of Europe and Asia. And what they were trying to conquer was all of that. Alexander wanted it all. He didn't want to just, well, we're going to stop right here. No. He thought he was going to rule the world. And through Greek philosophy and Greek law, make everything better.
Yes.
He's going to, because...
And if you read about him, he was a follower of Aristotle. He was tutored by Aristotle.
Yeah. And so did the Romans. They thought that if they could put the Roman system throughout the world, they would make it a better world. It was a beast system. They wanted to conquer the world. Well, today, friend, look at them. This World Council.
Yeah.
We got world councils of everything. We got the United Nations, we got the World Council of Churches, we got all kinds of stuff.
World Economic Forum.
Yeah, and it's all about the world now. Well, is the world, what are they trying to do? Bring the world into a beast, the whole world.
One system of thought, one system of government, one system of how we live and act together. Because in the end, we say, well, this is all good because we won't kill each other anymore.
Right, yeah. We'll stop war, we'll stop all of that stuff.
What about abortion? You keep killing people, man.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But that's okay. That's okay.
That's all right.
We can kill babies. It don't matter. It's a good thing for the environment. It's about women's health.
Yeah, it's about women's health. Well, John said, I saw a beast come up out of the earth. Mm-hmm. That was the last one he saw. Come up out of the earth. Well, that word earth in Revelation means the terra firma, the world. Not just one country or this country or that country. It can mean a region.
Earth.
But here it means the whole earth.
Yep.
So what are we seeing today? We're seeing a push to get the whole world under one rule.
Yep.
That's what they want.
Yes.
I mean, they're covetous to that point.
Yes.
They want it all.
Because the earth belongs to the Lord and the fullness of thereof.
And they want to take it away.
And this is a culmination of rebellion. This is the usurpation of authority, which was never. We've been talking about this thought process for how long?
Long time.
If we don't understand that mankind is in rebellion, I'll put it to you like this. And we'll talk a little bit about more of this tomorrow. But the world of men live in a continual cycle of revolution and rebellion, which continually leads to his destruction. We have to understand that is what's going on here. How much rebellion, how many more revolutions can, Klaus Schwab says we're in the fourth industrial revolution now. Well, how many more revolutions are there going to be till you get it right?
Yeah.
Till the next guy comes along and says, nah, Klaus was an idiot. We're going to do it better.
Yeah.
And we have a fifth industrial revolution because after all, we're the wise ones.
Yeah, because each man feels like he has to put his stamp on it.
It's just absurd, man. Just ridiculous. But we keep falling for this nonsense. And here all Jesus said, why are you anxious about what you will eat, what you will drink, what you will wear? He says, the Gentiles seek after these things. He's talking to Hebrews here. Why? See, we think it's just this, I want the best clothes. No. See, our culture today is a different type of culture. We're a merchandised, we are a consumerized culture. Whereas the ancient world was not that to a great degree. Food, clothing, and shelter meant I survived.
I was able to live.
Today, food, clothing, and shelter is a matter of status. Where you live, what restaurants you go to, what neighborhood you live in. Am I wearing Armani or, Louis Vuitton? Am I wearing Walmart?
Yeah.
I'm wearing both today. I'm wearing the Walmart T-shirt and the Kohl's, shirt. I guess that's where it's at, bro. What does that matter? Who cares? Who cares? We do, because that's what we've determined. And this is the consumerism of our culture today. But back in that time, and this is the point Jesus is making here, these people are running after these things because they need them to survive. You will be happy because you'll have all these things. You won't have to worry about your survival anymore.
Well, yeah. I get amazed. I look at stuff sometimes. My wife will show me things, and you look at stuff like women's purses. Some of them things cost in the thousands of dollars, and it's only because whose name is on it. That cow they made that out of,
Same cow.
the same cow. I mean, leather's leather. Come on. I mean, you can make it better, or you can make it softer and things like that. But there's not a whole lot you can do to it, and yet this purse over here is $50, and this one over here is $2,000, because this one doesn't have a name on it like this one does, made out of the same stuff. How gullible are we?
We're pretty gullible.
Yeah.
We're so. That's what I'm saying.
So status oriented.
Yes, and this is the idea of things. And when you talk about what these people are looking at, they're coming back to this. We're going to dictate. There are certain people who will subject you to things, regardless. They're going to subject you to this ideology, and this is the thought process. This is the mark of the beast. Will you accept this? And I'm not talking about then going back, no, I'm going to keep my status. No, I'm talking about coming out of that mess and nonsense as well and coming into the thought process that, you know what? Maybe we ought to seek after the kingdom of Jehovah and its righteousness. Oh, and then he said, these things will be added to you. So there is a kingdom that these things will be added to you, and without terror, without the force, because here's the other part of this, folks. This is the kicker and what we're talking about. Which mark are you going to receive? Who owns the earth? Who does it belong to? Man cannot give that to you. It doesn't belong to them to give to you.
Nope. Can't give something you don't have.
That right there in and of itself. But we're convinced this ideology is saying, no, we can give this to you. We can create food, shelter, and you'll be happy. We'll provide it. We can do this. No, you can't. The earth doesn't belong to you. It belongs to Jehovah and the fullness thereof. So the only one that actually can create that situation for me is Jehovah, but there is a requirement to that. I must seek after its righteousness and receive that mark. It's about we're looking at two kingdoms, and this is what you're marked with, folks. Quit worrying about whether I'm not going to get vaccinated. I can say that right now. I'm not.
No, me either.
I don't need it.
I don't need it.
Simple as that. But
I've had goals before.
the other part of this is I'm not doing this because of the criteria, the idea, the ideological context behind what they're doing. That's what I've been looking at, not because of a shot or this, whether the shot is good or bad. That has nothing to do with anything. What I'm considering when I look at these things is the ideological context of what these men are working to do.
Absolutely. There's a purpose behind everything. I mean, people think that, oh, they're just sitting up there, well, this is good, that's good, let's do this. No, there's purpose. They are after what they want. Mm-hmm. And if they have to take it away from you to get it, they will. It doesn't matter. Status and things like that absolutely rule in the minds of men. And, it amazes me. Solomon said something about this in his writings in Proverbs. He said, or in Ecclesiastes actually, he said, I've seen a problem in the earth. He said, I've seen servants riding horses and nobles walking on the ground. Well, what's he mean by that? Here's people that know nothing of anything about taking care of anything or running anything, but they're riding the horses. What do we got in Washington right now? We got a president that can hardly remember where he is. I'm not bad-mouthing him. I'm not putting him down. I think it's pitiful.
Yes.
It's pitiful. But the man hardly knows where he is. He doesn't know what he's saying.
And we use and abuse it.
Yeah. And then we have a vice president who's an avowed Marxist.
And has really no ability whatsoever.
And no skills at all.
No.
The woman is foolish.
Yes.
And yet they are in the highest positions in this land, and we think it's okay. I mean, what's wrong with it? What's wrong with us?
Look, folks, tomorrow we're going to be back. And look, tune in. We got three deals we're going to do. Tomorrow, Dad and I'll be back. We're going to finish this discussion. Thursday, we got our brother Ron Burrell coming on. We're going to throw an extra segment in this week with our brother Ron Burrell. We're going to be talking about the woke culture in these things. And he wrote a song a while back called Merry Christmas. And it was about that and when they were trying to take Christmas out of the culture and things like that. And we're going to use, and he wrote that in reference to what they're saying about Jesus, taking this, the woke culture, going all the way back. He looks at it from the 70s. And I think it's very interesting. You'll enjoy this a lot. It'll be great context. So we got tomorrow, we got Thursday. We're going to have a great time with all these subjects. So tune in tomorrow, please. We're going to continue this conversation about the mark of the beast and what we're dealing with in our society today. Everybody have a great day in the Lord. We love you. We care about you. Remember, share. Hit that like button. Share this out with your friends. We appreciate it very much. Always remember, give love.
And give life.
And give Jesus.